which has become a really eventful day now. Y'all have probably seen the news that Will Wade has been fired by LSU. Scott Woodward and William Tate have jointly issued a statement. So we'll talk about it here. We'll react to it. Drew's hanging out. You want to say hi, everybody? You want to say hi?
Hi.
Okay. Why don't you go watch Daddy's phone? You watch videos? Okay. All right. Okay. So I'll drop your comments. We'll react to it all. Got a lot of thoughts on all of it. I'll start with Will's termination, which, quite honestly, felt inevitable when Scott was hired and they restructured his contract for this exact reason. If they ever got hit with level 1 violations, they could fire him for cause. There's a handful of level 1 accusations in the notice of allegations. Again, nothing has been proven by the NCAA. Okay, buddy. This isn't a notice of violations. This is a notice of allegations. But okay, thank you. Okay. What, baby? Okay. Tate and Woodward are in the letter that they wrote, are firing him for cause, so they'll owe him nothing. This always felt inevitable because, for two reasons. One, of course, Scott Woodward was going to want to hire his own coach. And number two, if you peeked at the NOA, and it's been released now, there are football is included in that as well. Okay, listen, go watch Daddy's phone. Okay, bud. So football is included. So it was always sort of understood that it was whispered that while the NCAA struggled to get hard evidence against Will Wade, they were always going to go after Will Wade to get their pound of flesh, and they'd leverage football if they needed to. The football investigation, dating all the way back to that Lady of the Lake stuff, with inducements for a no-show job for a player. It was Vidal Alexander's dad at Our Lady of the Lake. All of that. That dates back to 2012-13. And football's case was just about closed, and then Odell started handing out Benjamins on the field after the national championship game, and so then that prolonged it. Football would have been done by now, but for Odell's antics. That's in the NOA, by the way. Odell's antics are in the NOA, as we know. So I think, let me point out a couple of things in the letter from William Tate and Scott Woodward, which, by the way, I will tell you, I am embarrassed for William Tate and Scott Woodward today, because this letter is a steaming pile of drivel. Whoever wrote this should be embarrassed, and for these two men to sign off on it and put their name on it, equally as embarrassing. If anyone reads this and just guzzles it as gospel, then you're a sheep, because this is an awful representation for a lot of reasons. Let's go through it. They talk about informing Will Wade that he's been terminated for cause. Okay, it's Saturday, baby.
On Saturday.
And on Saturday, we do Dad Show. We did a lot of stuff already. In a little while, Mommy's gonna come home. We'll wear your backpack, okay? And after wear your backpack, then we will see Mimi and Papa and JJ and Uncle Jeff.
And who?
And Roro and Reese.
And who come?
All those people I just said. Okay. So in this letter, they write, for more than 4 years, the university has patiently allowed the NCAA investigative process to unfold, yada, yada, yada. Throughout that time, the university's men's basketball program have operated under an exhausting shroud of negativity. They talked about it as requested, required by state law. They released the NOA. And he says, Our responsibility to protect and promote the integrity and well-being of our entire institution and our student athlete will always be paramount. Okay, a couple of things. They also say, notably, our decision to terminate Coach Wade and Coach Armstrong is not an acknowledgement of agreement with any of the allegations. The university will determine its positions on the allegations after an exhaustive and objective examination on the relevant facts and applicable NCAA regulations. Okay, a few things. Number one, if promoting the integrity and well-being of the institution and our student athletes will always be paramount. If that's really your objective, then firing your coach the day before Selection Sunday does not serve your student athletes well. That does not protect your student athletes or the institution. That is the antithesis of that. Your timing is off by doing this right before Selection Sunday. Hey, do you want to see Sesame Street?
Yeah.
Okay, hang on one second now. Let's go on Sesame Street. You want Fiesta? You want Latino Festival? Or Quinceañera? Latino Festival? Yes, Latino Festival. All right, sorry about that, y'all. My apologies. You have 400 people watching. My kids bugging me about watching Sesame Street. Anyway, okay, sorry about that. So let's go through this. The letter from Tate and Woodward. One, if you were actually concerned about your student athletes, you would not in any way be firing your coach the day before Selection Sunday. You would be giving this team the best opportunity to win. That's number one. If you were concerned about the shroud of negativity, as they said, the exhausting shroud of negativity, you could have, if that was your concern, your student athletes, the university, the shroud of negativity, you could have at any point over the last 3 years, Scott Woodward, made this decision, but you didn't. More on that in a second. And you say in this letter, our decision to terminate Coach Wade and Coach Armstrong is not an acknowledgement of agreement with any of the allegations. So you're saying, we're not saying we agree with it, but it's an exhausting shroud of negativity and we want to do what's best for our student athletes. Well, you don't agree with it, or you're not saying you agree with it. You're going to continue to investigate it. The exhausting shroud of negativity has been there for 3 years, at which point you could have fired him. And now you're not doing what's best for your student athletes because you're not giving this team the opportunity to actually go win in the NCAA tournament. So all of this in this letter is a giant pile of shit. I mean, Scott Woodward, William Tate for this letter, it's awful. Like, I know we all know what's happening here. It's very easy to see. Okay, but you want to see fast? You want fast?
Yes.
Okay, fast. Okay, fast. There you go. Like, it's very easy to see what this is. There's really two things at hand. Number one, Scott Woodward wants to hire his own coach. Will Wade was never his guy. He didn't hire Will Wade, and he basically inherited a negative situation. Fine, okay. The NOA allows him to fire Will Wade for cause. So they basically waited for this moment so they could fire him for cause and not owe him anything. Okay, that's one. And two, it's basically leveraging basketball to get football off the hook. Okay, like, I get it. You want to fire Will Wade to bring in your own coach? Okay. You want to salvage football and make basketball the sacrificial lamb? I get it. It's LSU. Don't feed me this giant steaming pile of bullshit and tell me, don't piss on my head and tell me it's raining. This whole letter from Tate and Woodward is awful. Like, I mean, I'm sure there's some people that are going to believe it. They're going to take it hook, line, and sinker. I'm here to tell you don't, because it's all crap. Now, the question that a lot of people are going to have is who's next? And I'm going to tell you straight up, it's going to be very, very difficult for Scott Woodward to hire a coach amid this, because you're now trying to hire a coach amid what are most certainly going to be basketball sanctions coming at a place that's not a blue blood, right? Here's my point. Woodward's reputation is big name hires, right? When you're hiring for LSU football, it's easy. You can go get Brian Kelly to come to LSU football. You're going to say, what about women's basketball? Women's basketball had success, but it's also a product of circumstance, where Kim Mulkey, her mom lives in Hammond. She's from Louisiana. It was an opportunity to come home. They paid her an ungodly amount of money, and she was not appreciated at Baylor. She felt unappreciated by the new athletic director and new president. So it was a perfect storm of sorts for Kim Mulkey. Where does that situation exist in major college basketball? Now, there's one name I can think of, but I don't think it's apples to apples to that. And it's actually at Baylor, and it's Scott Drew. Scott Drew's dad, Homer Drew, coached at LSU under Dale Brown. Obviously has a lot of love and affinity for Baton Rouge, but the guy just won a national championship at Baylor. Like, why would he leave Baylor for here? That's the one. That's the one I would tell you. There's two other names that people have told me. It's just sort of, poking around throughout this process. One is Matt McMahon from Murray State. But he's 43 years old. He's had a lot of success there at Murray State. He was at Wilmington as an assistant before going to Murray State as an assistant, and then and now Murray State is the head coach since 2015. So he's had success there at Murray State. They made the tournament 3 times. So could that be the mid-major that takes the step? And if so, is that the step that he wants to take from Murray State to LSU? Maybe if you pay enough. And the other is Kelvin Sampson. And I had someone tell me that he would make Kelvin Sampson tell him no. And I look at that and I go, part of me gets it. Kelvin Sampson's 66 years old, but and he's a guy that's had tremendous success. This guy that had Oklahoma ranked number 1 in the country. But this is also a guy that got fired for violations, for NCAA violations, got a show cause penalty at Indiana. I'm going, so you're going to fire Will Wade because of NCAA violations, and then go hire a coach that's also been fired for NCAA violations? I'm like, what a strange and wonderful world this is. I don't know what direction that they go. But I'll tell you that the explanation given today by Scott Woodward and William Tate on basically the explanation, the timing, all of it was horribly executed. You could have waited until after this basketball season and maybe say, what if they make a deep run? Then there's more pressure to keep Will Wade. If this was an inevitability, tell me this was an inevitability. Tell me we patiently stood behind Coach Wade. We've gotten the NOA. We've reviewed it. The allegations are completely unacceptable, and we will not allow this to be representative of our program, period. Like, that's it. I could buy that. Everything else in that letter today was atrocious. So I am very interested to hear what Will Wade has to say. And after the Missouri game, he said he was looking forward to having his chance to speak. Well, now he can speak if he wants to. What will his career be after this? Don't know. With all of this and the way that it's gone down, my guess is he'll get a show cause penalty, like Kelvin Sampson did, like Bruce Pearl did. He'll be out of coaching. And I think what probably happens is, he probably goes either NBA, which remember David Patrick did that, went the NBA route before getting back into the college game. And Donnie Tyndall did that as well. Donnie Tyndall, after he was fired at Tennessee, went into the NBA G League and coached. Now I think he's coaching in JUCO, but that's an option for Will Wade, would be to go to the pro ranks where this shit don't matter. Or maybe Wade, if there is a show cause, wait to get his opportunity again at a smaller school and then work his way back up again, as we've seen others do. I mean, John Calipari's had Final Fours vacated at 2 schools. I mean, again, Bruce Pearl had a show cause and is now back in and has a lifetime contract at Auburn. If you're an LSU fan, I would understand today also why you look around and you feel a little miffed, because there are other schools that were involved in the FBI investigation that, by the way, take a second and smash the like button. 582 watching is fucking phenomenal. Thank you. But if y'all could just take a quick second and smash the like button, I'd appreciate that. And if you're new, if you would subscribe up on the YouTube channel. Every time we go live, this is where we go. So if you're on mobile, just X out of the live chat. You'll see the thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up. And then just hit live chat. You'll see the comments right back. And I'm going to come to the comments in a second. But if you're an LSU fan, I get it. You look at Bruce Pearl, and Bruce Pearl was in the middle of this case too. Chuck Person, was, if you watch the scheme, Chuck Person was in the middle of all this, and he got fired at Auburn. He pleaded guilty to a bribery charge, amid this scandal. But Auburn salvaged Bruce Pearl. Same thing at Kansas. Kansas was in the middle of this, but Kansas salvaged Bill Self. Arizona was in the middle of this with Book Richardson, and Book Richardson got fired, but Sean Miller kept his job. Now, Sean Miller got fired because they stunk on court, but he didn't get fired as a result of all of this. But here's Will Wade getting the axe, and the one singular difference, and I'm going to use an example that's not apples to apples, so please don't misunderstand the context of the severity, but just the reality of the circumstance, which is Ray Rice. Y'all, for a lot of years, we heard domestic abuse, things like that. We heard it. And when you see it printed in an article, it doesn't carry the same weight as watching Ray Rice slug his fiance and knock her unconscious, right? I mean, that was the thing that was so repulsive when we saw it. Again, I'm not comparing paying a recruit and spousal abuse. Please do not misunderstand my point. My point is just, you had a visual element which brought that case to a different level. With Will Wade, his voice is on the federal wiretap. It's not an assistant. The assistant gives the head coach that plausible deniability. Head coach. Will Wade didn't have that because it's his voice on the wiretap. So that's what got him in the crosshairs. And if you're NCAA enforcement, you're looking at that going, there's no way we can allow this to go unpunished. However, it has to happen. And y'all, I have said, I want to say this again, with nearly 600 people watching, and thank you all for spending some time here this afternoon. I'm gonna come to your comments here after this, but from the beginning of this, on AFR, on my podcasts, on quite literally every radio interview I've done over the last 4 years where people ask me about Will Wade, and they say, well, how does Will Wade have a job? This is my answer. And I've said it so many times, I have it memorized because I've said it so many times, and I've always shared the same opinion on this. I have said a bajillion times, I am not absolving Will Wade of wrongdoing. I am not saying nothing happened. I am acknowledging the optics around this look terrible. You have a coach on a federal wiretap talking about a strong ass offer. I get it. I get it. I also understand that in the world of college athletics, there have been a lot of instances where the optics were terrible. The examples I constantly give are Cam Newton. I mean, Cam Newton's father acknowledged soliciting a $250,000 payment for his son to play quarterback. Do I think Cam Newton got paid at Auburn? You're damn right I do. But he played an entire season, won a Heisman, won a Natty, was the #1 overall pick, and nothing ever happened as a result. Johnny Manziel was in that hotel room in Miami with merchandise surrounding him all over the room, the bed, signing it, autographing it. Do I think Johnny Manziel was signing that out of the goodness of his heart? I do not. I think Johnny Manziel got paid to do that. And I think he missed a half of a football game, maybe, against Rice or something like that in the season opener. There are so many instances of athletes flashing cash and cars on social media, and the optics of it are terrible. And very often it doesn't go unpunished. So with respect to Will Wade, the optics were terrible, but it always comes down to what can you prove? I don't know that the NCAA has proven anything. What I can tell you definitively, and I know this definitively, is that Javonte Smart's family did not crack. Like, he was the strong-ass offer. We all know that. And I'll tell y'all candidly, I was told when Javonte Smart committed, I remember exactly where I was. I was pulling up. I was going on vacation. It was in this amount, must have been June, July. I was going on family vacation. I'm pulling up into, what's the resort in Pensacola? Pensacola Resort. Portofino. We're pulling into Portofino. And I get a call from a buddy. He goes, "Hey, did you hear what they gave Javonte?" And guy told me the dollar amount. I couldn't have picked Javonte Smart out of, I don't watch high school basketball. I couldn't have picked Javonte Smart out of a lineup, but told me the dollar amount. So do I believe Javonte Smart? Absolutely, I believe he got paid. But Javonte Smart played 3 years at LSU because the NCAA could never prove it. They couldn't. They shook down Javonte, his family, his AAU coach, everybody. They could never prove it. Could never prove it. So, and neither can I. I'm just telling you a firsthand conversation that I had with somebody who told me the dollar amount. So, and no evidence to the contrary, by the way. So what can you prove? I don't know that we'll see what the notice of allegations is and everything therein, and what if you've seen it, the names. There's Ross Dellinger has a Twitter feed of the names are redacted, so you can't see what names are alleged. But you want again? Okay. Thank you for asking in such a polite way. You want fast? Okay. Anyway, so, okay, there's my spiel mostly. I'll scroll through these comments and try to get some of your questions. If you have them, I'll answer what I can. Some of y'all know probably came in late. Maybe you could scroll back to the beginning and check out all the commentary, because I just sort of gave you a stream of my ideas there through everything. Selfishly, I did pin the Hudco Roofing link in the comments. So for those that don't know, me, Ryan Terrio, partner roofing company, Hudco Roofing, need an inspection, tap that link, fill out the contact form. We'd love it if you give us a chance to earn your business. Okay. Brian Chandler, Rocky Cronkite, Glenn Garner, Jeff McKithen, Irfan Sayad, so much for LSU basketball. We're going to suck again. I think, you look at LSU's current... Now, one more thing. I do have one more thing that I would like to say. I would like to yet again point out how awful Joe Alleva was at his job. How woefully inept he was. Because when Will Wade was hired, it was an Eddie Nunez hire, by the way, who was an associate AD. He was now the AD, I believe, at New Mexico. And it was known immediately when that hire was made that LSU was going to play ball, right? They were going to play the game to get the players and all that sort of stuff. And Joe Alleva gets fired because he's the worst athletic director I've ever seen, and deserved to be fired for being the worst athletic director any of us have ever seen. And he does this this interview, maybe with Rabelais or maybe it was Dellinger, I can't remember who it was a couple years ago, and talks about how, man, Will Wade was such a huge mistake. He's such an awful guy. Joe Oliva hired Will Wade knowing full well what the approach was going to be, because Joe Oliva is the one that hired Trent Johnson and Johnny Jones. Brother, like, your two opportunities to hire coaches, you fell on your face. You face planted on both of them. So they brought in a guy who was going to win, and you signed off on it, and now you crap on the guy. No. That's why Joe Oliva was inept and was the most awful athletic director any of us have ever seen. Like, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Thank God. If you love LSU, every night when you get on bended knee and you say a prayer for world peace and for health and safety and security of your family and prosperity and all that stuff, also say a prayer of thanksgiving for Richard Lipsey, because he used every single bit of leverage that he has to get rid of Joe Oliva and King Alexander to save my alma mater, and for many of you as well, yours. I mean, anyway. Okay. LSU does have a couple of 5-stars committed. You've got Julian Phillips committed, the power forward out of Link Academy. I'm sorry, Julian Phillips has already signed his letter of intent, as has Devin Ree. Yohan Traore is the 5-star center out of Arizona who is committed. Now, my understanding is that the guys with their letter of intent, because of the NOA, if there are violations, that they would be allowed out of that NOA. So whoever the next guy is has work to do to try to keep this class together and move forward. Mike Adams, his team's consistently underperformed, in my opinion. Mike Adams, that's one of the dumbest things that anybody could say. I mean, the complete lack of understanding of some LSU fans of what you are in basketball is mind-boggling. LSU, because LSU has been consistent for the last 20 years in football as a national power, and at times throughout its history can boast Bob Pettit, Pete Maravich, Shaq, you think you're better than you are. You're not. LSU basketball is an afterthought. When it's good, we're excited, but by and large, when they're bad, we don't care. That's the difference with places like Kentucky and Duke and Kansas and North Carolina. When they're bad, they're furious, like LSU is in football. When you're bad, you fire a coach 2 years after a year and a half after a national championship. In football here. Basketball, don't care. That's the difference. Will Wade, his team's won more games in the SEC the last 3 years than any team in the league. Like, to say that they underachieved is just dumb. Dumb. Like, it's senseless. Let's see. PTG Toasty, Jeb Whitley, what's good? NyQuil figured something big for a Saturday afternoon stream. All right, yeah, new coaches in all the major sports. I'm just scrolling. I could read all your names. Alec Campbell, PTG Toasty, must have uncovered something pretty incriminating for Woodward to act on this. No, that's the point. That's the point. They say point blank in the Woodward and Tate, where we started today, point blank in the letter, say their decision is not an acknowledgement of agreement with the allegations. This was just the open door. Like, when Scott Woodward was hired after Will Wade had been suspended, remember, and then reinstated, and Scott Woodward was hired, and then they redid Will's contract. It was like one of the first things Scott did when he was here. It was in 2019. It was early, maybe late winter, early spring 2019. And maybe it was around April, May. And they redo Will Wade's contract with this intent. If they got to this point, they could fire him for cause. But what Scott and William Tate said today is why I'm railing on their letter today, is because you could have done this then if you wanted. If you were embarrassed by the negativity, if you wanted to do what's best for your student athletes, all that stuff, you could have done this 3 years ago. But you didn't. Because you rode the wave of positivity, of winning, of getting in the tournament, of the excitement, of selling tickets, of having interest in basketball. You rode that wave. Negativity be damned, student athlete, what do they say? The the integrity and well-being of our institution and student athletes. If you really gave a damn about that, you would have done this 3 years ago. This was an opportunity for Scott Woodward to fire his coach and not have to pay a buyout and to bring in his own guy. That's what this is. If LSU wanted to go hard line and defend Will Wade, they could have. But Scott wants to bring in his own guy. Okay, but again, don't piss on my head and tell me it's raining. Eric Wilderotter. Crazy to think Wade will have finished coaching only 2 tournament games. And the 2 tournament games were with no fans in attendance, too. Bizarre. Jay reached Jacob Berry from the left side. I know. Greg T, since it's midday, can I cuss a little? Gosh darn it, the flip and flip-flop. Randall Offrecht, who's coaching the team in the tournament? Bad fire, IMO. So Kevin Nickelberry will be the interim coach. So he'll coach LSU in the NCAA tournament. We'll see what happens tomorrow on Selection Sunday, what LSU's draw is for the tournament. But Kevin Nickelberry will coach the team. And then, then we'll see what direction Scott goes. You better believe that Scott knew. He's too smart of a guy. Think back to when Nicky Fargas was fired. Or when Nicky Fargas left, I should say. I mean, Nicky Fargas was fired, like we got that word like on a Friday. By Sunday, they had announced Kim Mulkey. Like it was done. And by the way, James Foreman, NOA is notice of allegations. That's what the NCAA, so that is the formal step in this process where the NCAA formally advises a school that they're bringing formal allegations against them of wrongdoing. And that's what LSU got the other day. That's what Pat Forty for 3 years has been saying. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. And we're all like, okay, we get it. You're ready for there to be a notice of allegations. He's like, oh, really? It's coming, it's coming, it's coming. We all kind of knew it was inevitable, but he's kept on doing it for him and Dick Vitale for 3 years. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming. And then, yeah, it took 3 years. But anyway, let's see. Craig Dugas. Look, Craig's been a diehard basketball guy. He's been a Will Wade guy. He jumps in here every day and says LSU's a basketball school. See, it's been a fun ride. The past 4 years felt like we were on track for something big. The program was relevant. Recruits were knocking down the door to get a spot on the roster. Thank you, Coach Wade. I agree. It's hard to say this is a mistake without being able to see the end game, which is who do you hire and what effect does this have on football? Because I'm going to sit here and maintain, and you will probably never get anyone at LSU to acknowledge this on the record, but it has been said to me so many times over the last 4 years from so many different people in so many different circles. Local media, national media, administrators, NCAA officials, attorneys, like coaches, that the NCAA wants their pound of flesh with Will Wade, and they're going to leverage LSU football to get to basketball. So maybe it's a situation where Scott Woodward's hands were tied because he knew he had to preserve the cash cow. And if that meant firing a popular basketball coach, he was going to do it. And maybe that's the case. And maybe he can't say that in the letter. But what they tried to tell us today in that letter from Woodward and Tate was just, it's baloney. It's just a giant pile of shit. I mean, it's just awfully done. I mean, it's flowery verbiage, and so people are going to look at it and go, oh, well, they want to promote the integrity. And well, if you're all about promoting integrity, you'd have fired Will Wade the day you showed up on campus. Like everybody outside of Baton Rouge wanted you to do. But you didn't, because it was going to cost you to do it, and you were quite content cashing that gate receipt when LSU was putting 10,000 people in the Maravich Center, consistently. Brett Dagro, does this clear the way for Tate to get his minority coach? I don't know. I don't know that's the giant objective here. I mean, I think that was something he expressed he would have liked to have seen in football, but it was also made pretty clear pretty quickly that it was going to be Scott Woodward's hire, and ultimately it was. On the bright side, we get a non-companion show for baseball. Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on it. But this is not a companion show, for those that are wondering. I'm not allowed to do companion shows because Guarantee has a contract with the with LSU Sports Properties, and part of the new contract is that I can't do companion shows because they feel like we're taking away from their audience. But I do Nightcap with Scone every Wednesday, and I'm going to keep doing it because it's not a companion show. It's a show I do every Wednesday night at 9 o'clock. And there just happens to be an LSU baseball game on right now, and LSU's leading Bethune-Cookman 2-1. But this is not a companion show. We're talking about Will Wade. Jeremy Brinkmeyer hired Greg Marshall. That's a guy whose star really has dimmed, huh? See what he's making right now. Well, that's right. He resigned. Yeah, there's no way they're doing that. That's right. That was right. It was the abuse investigation. That's right. Yeah. There's no shot. There's no shot they're doing it. Like, I can't see a scenario where you fire Will Wade because of these allegations and then hire a coach that has baggage. I just can't see it. Brandon Reese, what do you think the punch will be for basketball? You know, it's a good question, Brandon, and it's very fair to ask and to wonder, is this an instance where because LSU has taken swift action and fired Will Wade, that they can then plead to the NCAA and say, listen, we fired the coach responsible. None of the current players here have any involvement in this whatsoever, and beg for leniency, to which I would say, how did that work for USC with Reggie Bush? Like, it's just been, ask Oklahoma State, ask Missouri, what does cooperating with the NCAA get you? Hammered. North Carolina has this widespread cheating scandal. They refuse to cooperate, and they get nothing. Missouri cooperates with basically the same allegations, and they get hammered. I mean, I wouldn't even answer a call from the NCAA. I'd tell them to kick rocks. Kyle Milliken, is it for cause? It is, yes. It clearly states they have alerted Will Wade. They have fired him for cause, yes. E-Rock's not going to be happy. I texted her earlier today. She sent me like 100 crying emojis. Loves her some Will Wade. James Fortenberry asked Matt, do you think Scott already has a replacement? I do not think he already has a replacement, but you better believe he's already got his short list. And if you're just joining us, I ran through some of the names that I've had people tell me early on in this process. Again, okay, thank you for asking. Okay. You want quinceañera? If you scroll that Sesame Street episode, it'll be like, no, like 100 times. Just, no, it's all of them. No. So Migo Tez asked who's on the short list. Again, I want to be very clear. I'm not telling you that this is Scott Woodward's short list. I do not know. I want to be very clear about that. I am not telling you that I have a peek behind the curtain of what Scott Woodward is thinking with this hire. All I can tell you is what I have had some people with resources and who are close to the program tell me names that would make sense, that sort of thing. Scott Drew from Baylor is one of them. That would be a Woodward hire, right? That would be a big name, and that would be a giant pull. A guy who just won a national championship. You just went to Baylor and got their women's basketball coach. Wouldn't that be something? Of course, Scott Drew's dad, Homer Drew, was an assistant under Dale Brown. I would put that at like a 5% probability, but maybe you make the call. Mid-major guys, Matt McMahon from Murray State, that was mentioned, and then Kelvin Sampson is another one that somebody mentioned to me. But I'm going, how can you hire Kelvin Sampson when that's a guy who himself got a show cause? Like, you fire your coach for cause and then go hire a coach that himself has been in NCAA trouble before. No. Let's see. I'm checking Ross's Twitter real quick. Doug Ashton said lack of institutional control, and I want to be very clear. I don't know if Ross is reporting that. Because you would have to have level 1 violations in multiple sports simultaneously, which, by the way, is why LSU has wanted to get football done so they didn't get hit with lack of institutional control. Okay, here it is from Ross an hour ago. LSU slapped with lack of institutional control. University in total committed 8 level 1 violations, 2 level 2 violations. There's a pattern of noncompliance. Those in authority condone the cheating, the NCAA says. Okay. That's awful. That's what LSU has worked very hard to avoid, is lack of institutional control. That's why they wanted the book closed on football. Because if you have multiple sports with lack of institutional control at the same time, like, or with level 1 violation simultaneously, that's how you get hit with lack of institutional control. And that is when, that's when things go very badly. USC, lack of institutional control. Miami with the Nevin Shapiro stuff. Kansas got hit with lack of institutional control. Southern University, if you remember, a few years ago, got hit with lack of institutional control because of their shoddy record keeping, is a way to put it. And it took them several years to get out from under that label. So that's terrible. And with that looming, it will make it even more difficult to hire a coach. Let's see. James Lynch, why didn't they wait till after the NCAA tournament? It's unfair to the players. I agree with that. That's why I will continue to say the explanation given today by the athletic director and the university president is drivel. It's terrible. Don't tell me you're talking about compliance and you're concerned with the image of the university, as they put it, the promote the integrity and well-being of our entire institution. Yet you've condoned this for 3 years. You've just rode the gate receipts for 3 years. So don't tell me that's what it's about. It's an opportunity to fire a coach for cause, to get him out of here, to not have to pay a buyout, to be able to get your own guy in there and hopefully salvage football. That's what this is. Okay. And if that's the case, and if that's what you all think is best, okay. But the explanation given today by LSU's administration is atrocious. All right. All right, y'all. I'm going to go to the bottom and just kind of scroll up. Michael Thacker Scone, does this change your perception of Woodward? I think Scott Woodward is a great athletic director. I think the statement he and William Tate put out today is terrible. Nobody bats 1,000. I think this is poorly handled. And the inevitability of moving on from Will seems like it's always been there. But I think today was bad. The NCAA, Mike McCann's talking about the death penalty. That's not going to happen. The NCAA will likely never issue the death penalty ever again. And if they even try to issue the death penalty, you would have schools just completely disassociate with the NCAA. That's just not a reality again in any situation again. If you were going to do that, the Reggie Bush situation would have been an example. The Sandusky Penn State. Ooh, Damn, Gio. That would have been an example of an opportunity, and they didn't. So they wouldn't here. Brandon Reese, if we're being honest, I'm glad the whole saga is over. Time to wipe the slate clean. Dwayne, how do you think the players will respond in the tournament? Great question. I don't know. I mean, if we look at Kevin Nickelberry and his background, maybe they will play very hard for him. But I think they played really hard for Will Wade. I mean, effort was never a problem with this team. They offensively in the half court, I don't think make really smart decisions. But you cannot question this team's effort, especially defensively. I mean, they lead the conference; they're tops in the country in steals. I mean, they are. Effort is the thing that has been a staple and a hallmark of this team. So I don't think that's a problem. Kevin Nickelberry was the head coach at Howard before he came to LSU. So he was the head coach from 2010 to 2019. He was also the head coach at Hampton from 06 to 09, and then an assistant in a lot of different places. So he's got a lot of experience. I mean, I don't really worry about that, but how quickly can you get your team to refocus? And I don't know. I mean, look, back in 2019, without Will Wade, they played to a Sweet 16. This team could certainly do that. Again, okay, thank you for asking. Right. Quick reminder again for those watching, if you would take a second, smash that like button. 629 watching still. Appreciate y'all for spending part of your Saturday with us here. Always happy to do things like this whenever they pop up. If you're new, if like maybe you just found the channel today, go ahead and subscribe as well. This is where I do morning scone every morning. We do nightcap with scone on Wednesdays. Obviously, when we go live for stuff like this, it's here. So do me a favor, just subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell, set the notification, so when we go live, you'll see us here. So you're always welcome to come hang out. Living Lambo, what does Wade's future look like after this? Is he blacklisted? Well, I mean, when you just look at successful coaches that have gone through this and gotten another opportunity, I mean, I think of guys like Larry Eustace or Donnie Tyndall, Bruce Pearl, Kelvin Sampson, John Calipari. I mean, you've had coaches who have gone through things that have gotten better opportunities or gotten opportunities again. If you're willing to be patient, bide your time. Time heals all wounds, and in time, Will Wade will get another opportunity. I think for him now, his options are, and we'll see what the NCAA does. The NCAA may slap him with a show cause. If they do, then he's out. Like, he can't coach for the length of that show cause. Bruce Pearl had a show cause and went and did TV for a year. For Will, maybe it means going to the NBA level. Maybe he could go sit on an NBA bench and, or in the G League and coach there, for a length of time until he has an opportunity to get back into college, if that's what he wants. Kay Orange said Brad Stevens is the big fish to get. I just can't see that happening, man. Brad Stevens is the president of basketball operations for the Boston Celtics. I mean, he left his spot on the bench to solely focus on the front office. Maybe he's aching to coach again, but I can't imagine leaving the Boston Celtics, where you're the president of basketball operations, to coach LSU. I mean, it just that doesn't make sense. I couldn't see that. Thomas Robinson, what do you think about Avery Johnson? I mean, Avery coached at Alabama, and that didn't go so great. I just don't think he's a great college basketball coach. He was a really good NBA coach. Got the Mavs to an NBA Finals, but that's probably just not a great college coach. I don't know that you go that way. Eric Broussard, why not self-impose a postseason ban? I don't know that they're at that point, man. I mean, you're in the middle of the season, so I don't think that's the route to take. Rourke Steele, how many recruits and current players will leave? That's a good question. I mean, your seniors, Darius Days and Xavier Pinson, they could take an extra year because of COVID, but they're both likely. They had senior day festivities. They're likely gone. Tari Eason, obviously, is going to be gone already. I think you're going to have all of them. I mean, from Murray and Reed, Fudge. I mean, I think all these guys should go through the draft process. I mean, you can go through the draft process and get feedback on on your prospects. So all of them should. How many come back? It probably is going to depend on who the new coach is, and what he wants to run as he evaluates the roster. So it's a little tough. T Hen, bro, I'm so mad. I don't believe you, man. I don't blame you. It's why if y'all were there with us on AFR, what day did the NOA come? Wednesday or Thursday? I think the NOA came Wednesday. On Thursday we started AFR. We even made it the poll question that day, and I wanted to lean into fan opinion and say what do you what do you want? Like, do you want them to retain Will Wade? And it was overwhelming. I mean, it was like 80% of the respondents said, yeah, like we want Will Wade back. And so I thought we were going to end up with a situation where I'm trying to find this poll. I can't find it. Anyway. I thought we might end up in a situation where you had these contrasting forces of a passionate fan base that wants to keep their popular coach and an athletic director that wants to hire his own guy. And, what would ultimately win out. And so Scott apparently didn't necessarily care. It didn't necessarily care about fan opinion of this. He was going to hire his own guy. So, okay. Any more here? Let's see. Chance Babin, do you think Woodward takes a shot at Buzz? I wouldn't. I mean, so Buzz is Buzz Williams, who he hired from Virginia Tech to Texas A&M. And I mean, I think he's made one NCAA tournament at Texas A&M. I mean, that's been a not great hire at A&M. No, he has not made the tournament. Forgive me, he has not made the tournament at A&M. So, yeah, I don't know how that makes sense. I don't know how that's the guy you're looking at. Wade calling games with Dickie V. Wouldn't that be something? Roy Hill, was there a movie about this investigation 2 years? What was the name of it? It was called The Scheme. It was an HBO documentary. And it was poorly done. Actually, if you want to, Roy, you can go look at, there's my review of that, what we talked about it on the show on AFR the next day is up. It was a one-sided viewpoint from Christian Dawkins, the aspiring agent. It was basically through his prism. So, you're only getting one side of a story. Let's see, True Louisiana. Well, I knew it would happen, but not till after next year. No, I thought it would have happened sometime this off season. I didn't think it would be before the tournament. Any more? Okay. Brandon, E-Rock will need some cuddles. She will. My wife Erica is gonna be upset about Will Wade. So let's see. Does the LIC affect football? Yeah. So lack of institutional control allows the NCAA to come in and basically pull back the curtain on your entire athletic department. It affects everything. So anyway, someone just said Adam Miller tweeted. I am curious to see what these guys say. Yeah. Adam Miller tweeted, hurts worse than 10 ACL injuries. all these guys came here to play for Will. He got him here. Anyway. Okay. I think we're just about done here, guys. Appreciate, and gals, thanks to everybody for watching. Yeah, murder giraffe. Rock's gonna tap into your whiskey. All right, y'all. We are just about done. Again, for those who are joining us, I want to reiterate one more time. You want it one more time? Go again? Okay. Can y'all hear me? That's not a touchscreen. He's touching the TV like he's got like the thumbnails of all the episodes. I'm scrolling over and he's touching the TV. He's doing this. He's swiping. Well, actually, he uses his pointer, his birdie finger, but he's like no. He's like swiping the TV. It's like that's not a touchscreen, buddy. Okay, so last thing again before we bounce, and again, thank you so much to everybody who's watching. 3 of 6 of you. Again, a selfish plug for Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. The Hudco link is pinned there in the comments. Would love to give you a free no obligation roofing inspection. HudcoRoofing.com. Do business with someone you know. That a boy. Was it Bianco? Who's that hit opposite? It was Travinsky. Well, Travinsky with a little opposite field double. Again, I want to say it again. For those who are just joining us who missed the bulk. I'm not now, nor have I ever absolved Will Wade of any wrongdoing. I get the optics are bad. I think LSU could have salvaged Will if they wanted to. I don't believe Scott Woodward wanted to. I believe Scott wanted to hire his own coach. Will hire his own coach, waited for the opportunity to do so, where he could fire Will Wade for cause and not have to pay him any money. Will was not Scott's guy. So here we are today. I think the letter that Scott Woodward and William Tate put out today is drivel. I think it's poorly done, completely contradictory. If they actually meant the things they said in the letter, then they would have fired Will Wade 3 years ago. But they didn't. So it's their own hypocrisy to a degree because they've ridden the good times with him until the moment when they could fire him for cause and not have to pay him anything, which is today. Who is next? I don't know. I don't believe that there's anything imminent. I do believe that Scott obviously knew this day was inevitable. I mean, today is evidence that he knew this day was inevitable. So he's going to have his short list, no doubt. I think they'll move very quickly to get someone in place. And some of the early names that I've heard had people mention to me, again, not Scott Woodward, but people who have some influence that have mentioned Scott Drew would sort of be the pie in the sky, shot. Matt McMahon from Murray State, Kelvin Sampson, some of the names that I've heard early. We'll see. But never, ever is it dull around Baton Rouge. Never is it dull. So, thank you, Alex Barnes. Yes. I'll go ahead and post that too then. So, yeah, I was assuming there's a lot of people watching here who don't watch Morning Scone regularly. I was nominated for Best of 225, so I'll go ahead and post the link in the comments if you want. You don't have to live in Baton Rouge, you just have to have an email address. Was nominated for Best of 225 for Best Radio Personality. So I just posted the link. If you'd like to vote, that'd be awesome. I'd sincerely appreciate it. And also vote for 104.5 ESPN for Best Radio Station. That would be so cool. So James Tyrone, agree with poor timing. I'll trust in Scott. Yeah, I mean, so far he's nailed it. I mean, Brian Kelly, Kim Mulkey, Jay Johnson, Sean Hudson in soccer. He's making over this athletic department in his image, and he's going to make a big one now. So, okay, y'all. Y'all have an awesome Saturday. We'll be back for Morning Scone tomorrow morning right here. So if you're new, smash that like button on the way out. Please smash the like button. And then, oh, wait. Look who's coming to say hello. Say hi. Say hi.
Hi.
All right. He was standing right there. I couldn't resist. That was like some old school Morning Scone vibes right there. Anyway. Okay. So again, if you're new, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. So when we're live, this is where we are. So live for Morning Scone, live for Nightcap on Wednesdays. When we can do companion shows for other sports, this is where we're live. And then for, videos like this. So thanks. Okay. Appreciate y'all. Have a great Saturday. We'll see you.